Okay friends, it's Tuesday, time to pick our winner. Let's see who we get here. B. This is our winner. Okay B, so just either you can respond below this video and or you can email me. But what I need to know, obviously I need your address, but I also need to know which book you would like. I have Still Meadow Sampler and I have Still Meadow Daybook. So let me know which book you want. Obviously I'm going to need your address. So like I said, either email me and we can start conversing that way. You could also message me on Instagram if you're on Instagram. I am under My New England Story. So congratulations, and I hope you enjoy your book. Have a great day, everyone. Hey friends, welcome back. Today I thought I would take you with me along one of my experimentations. I'm going to be baking buckwheat ginger snap cookies. It's a recipe I've never used before, so we're going to go along this adventure together. I have used buckwheat flour before and I really liked it. I did enjoy it. Buckwheat actually is naturally gluten-free. It is not a wheat per se. It's in the rhubarb family. This recipe that I found today, I found it on, let me see here, Bungalow of Blessing is the name of the website that I found the recipe on. However, I'm not doing the recipe 100% as it states. I am going to be making substitutions. She uses 100% buckwheat. I think what I'm going to do is I'm obviously using buckwheat, but I'm also going to substitute 100% organic Einkorn flour. And it's an ancient grain. People that have gluten sensitivities can use this. I've used this for several years now. I absolutely love it. This company, Jovial, is out of, gosh, I think they're down in Connecticut. And you probably have seen them in the stores. They do have crackers, they have pastas, they do have flours. I have found they have more online than I'm finding in stores here. But I've substituted the Einkorn pretty much one for one in a lot of my older recipes where I used regular all-purpose flour, and I've been very pleased, and my daughters have not had an issue with it. So again, it's an ancient grain. The Jovial flours, I believe they grow their grains on their farm in Italy. They have a farm there. So go ahead and Google them, look them up. It's quite the story, and she started it because her daughter had issues. And then the buckwheat flour that I'm going to be using, this is actually from Maine. They are out of Fort Kent, Maine. Yeah, it says National Celiac Association Certified Gluten-Free. So I'm not making any claims here because I don't have anyone in my family that has celiac, so I don't know a whole lot about that. So please do your own research before using items. But again, back to buckwheat, it's very interesting. It's very high, I'm reading here, it's high in iron, potassium, vitamin B, also quercetin, which is good for inflammation. So, you know, we can all use that. Also fiber. And then this particular brand, the Bouchard Family Farms, they do not use any herbicides or pesticides. So that is always helpful for me. I try to do as much organic as I possibly can. And anyway, so like I said, I'm going to take you along with me today. We're going to see what these taste like for the very first time, and I will show you the recipe and tell you where I am making the substitutions. Okay, so it first says to stir together the first 6 ingredients, so that's our dry ingredients. It calls for 2 1/4 cups buckwheat flour. However, what I'm going to do 1 cup of the jovial. So that's the jovial einkorn. Okay, so I put my einkorn flour in a bowl just so I could show you. The bag is pretty small, so I can't really get my 1 cup in there. To kind of fluff it up a little is what they say to do. So I'm just going to almost shake it down. And so there's my 1 cup. Now, if I were using regular all-purpose flour, typically what I would do is I would take a knife. And I do believe you're compacting it down a little. But anyway, there's my 1 cup of einkorn. We will put that in there. And then our buckwheat flour. The original recipe calls for 2 1/4 cup of buckwheat flour. So I'm going to do 1 cup of the jovial einkorn, and I'm going to do 1 1/4 cup of the buckwheat flour. I apologize for all of the rattling. Again, I'm kind of shaking it down just so you can see it is a little lighter in color. So that's the 1, and then we're going to do a 1/4 cup. We'll add the 1/4 cup in. Then it calls for 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. Okay, so here I go again. I'm changing the recipe. I am going to put in a little bit of my ground ginger, and I cut up fresh ginger. I absolutely love ginger. It's very healthy for you, especially the fresh. It's good, again, for inflammation. It's good for digestive problems. If you're like me, you love the taste of ginger. So I wanted to put some fresh in here. So I think what I'm going to do, let me see here. I have a 1/4 teaspoon here. I think I'm going to do 1/2 teaspoon of the ground. And then it calls for 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And I will do 1 entire teaspoon of the cinnamon. Okay. It does call for cloves. I'm not a huge fan of cloves. Let me see. What will I do instead? Okay, like I said, I'm changing the recipe, but this is the first time I've made it. Let's try a little bit of cardamom. Let's see what happens there. I'm just going to sprinkle a tiny bit in. I don't want it to be a lot. However, I do want that spice flavor. And then it calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So let's do a 1/4 teaspoon of, I have the pink Himalayan salt, so that's what we're going to be using. And that's it for my dried goods. Let's give that a little bit of a stir. It smells good. Of course, it's a beautiful fall day here. It's sunny outside. The leaves are starting to fall, and just all of these spices puts you in the mood for a beautiful fall day. Okay, so it's calling for 3/4 to 1 cup of brown sugar. Another substitution I'm making here. I substitute coconut sugar for brown sugar. Coconut sugar is lower on the glycemic index. I'm just trying to, I love to bake, and what I have been experimenting with, I'll be honest with you, for probably the past 8 to 10 years, is just trying to use more down-to-earth ingredients in my baking, less processed. And when it comes to sugars, I've been using maple syrup. I make my own maple sugar, date sugars, coconut sugar. Again, nothing that's processed, as your cane sugar is going to be a processed ingredient. So I'm going to do, because coconut sugar isn't as sweet as brown sugar is what she's calling for in her recipe, I am going to use almost 1 cup. So I'm going to add that into the bowl. And then it says 3/4 cup olive oil. So this is different. Typically you're going to be using a butter. So let's do 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3/4 cup of olive oil, and then 1/4 cup of molasses. Again, this is like, honey and maple syrup, a very natural product, not processed. So this will be good. And that is 1/4 cup right there. Let's add that in. And then 1 egg. Now, we had chickens for about 22 years when we lived in Michigan, and we moved out here. We no longer have chickens, but I will tell you, once you have fresh eggs from your own chickens, you just can't beat it. And so what I'm able to do out here is, we have so many neighbors or just people that live in our area that sell their own eggs. And so that's what I buy, because I don't know, they're just so much better than they are from the store. Okay, let's go ahead and get these ingredients mixed together. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to gradually add in my dry ingredients. I really wish you could smell my kitchen right now, friends. The spices and the molasses. It smells like fall. Hopefully these are going to taste as good as they smell right now. So let's go ahead and mix this a little. And let's just go ahead and add in the rest. Okay, now the other thing I'm going to do, remember I had cut up some fresh ginger, so I want to put that in right now, just at the end, just to kind of get it stirred in a bit. Okay, it's combining very nicely. Okay, so as you can see, I've lined 2 cookie sheets just with some parchment paper. And it does say to roll your dough into balls, but I'm going to use my little cookie scoop instead. So I'm just going to put those down. Now, one thing I do want to tell you, I did taste the dough just a little. I ended up adding in the full teaspoon of ginger. Like I said, I love ginger. It wasn't tasting quite gingery enough for me. So you do what you would like. You do not need to add the real ginger chunks like I did. You can just do your powdered seasoning, because that's what the recipe actually calls for. So let's go ahead and get these on. I did get my oven started. It's preheating at 350 right now. The recipes again said to preheat at 375. I don't know, sometimes that scares me, having it so high for cookies. So I'm going to try my first batch at 350. Let's see what happens. I have found with baking is certainly different from cooking. With baking, you do need to follow recipes, which is wonderful because I'm telling you I'm not following, but I am following the recipe when it comes to amounts. I'm just changing up some of the ingredients because I want them to be a healthier cookie, if there is such a thing. So anyway, with the baking, like I said, I'm going to try it at 350. Typically, that is what I bake my cookies on. And I do not like a real crisp cookie. I like them to be a little more soft. So I'm going to try it with my first sheet. See how it goes. If it doesn't work out, then I'm going to do what the recipe says, and I will increase it to 375. Now, what it tells you to do now is to sprinkle sugar on it. Again, I'm going to try to make a substitution. I'm going to substitute my maple sugar for regular white cane sugar, but you can do whatever you'd like. I'm just trying to, I don't know, I don't want them to be super, super sweet. So we'll see. Let me get a spoon here. So let's just get a little spoon, and I'm going to sprinkle some on top. It said to actually roll. You know what I'm going to do? Hold on a minute. This is what I'm going to do. Okay, I had to move the camera around because it's afternoon and I'm losing my lighting. So what I'm going to do is I'm just putting some of my maple sugar into a bowl. And I'm just going to use my fingers, and I'm just going to sprinkle the cookies with that maple sugar. You can roll them in your sugar if you would like. I'm just going to experiment this way, and we will see what happens. Again, I tasted the dough. It is not super sweet, so that's why I'm being fairly generous with sprinkling this on top. And let's go ahead and put these in the oven. Okay, the first batch is going into the oven. Again, 350. My rack is in the middle of the oven, and it says to bake them for 9 to 10 minutes. So let me get my timer started on that. So while we're waiting for those to bake, see what our first batch does here. I just wanted to say, this has been an experiment that I'm still working on, and I've been doing this for a few years as far as what works. I'm trying to get my gluten-free baked goods to taste as normal as possible. And I'm also doing it for my own purpose. Even though the kids aren't here as much anymore, I do still like to bake. I don't bake as often. I'm making these today because my cousin is coming to visit us from North Carolina, and whenever he and his family come to visit, they're always saying, you know, what are you baking? We need you to bake something. And they're just teasing, but I don't know. I like to try something. So he's going to be my guinea pig. We're going to see what he thinks of this. I know he's not a gluten-free person, but he'll eat anything anyway. So for my own reason, like I said, when I have a cookie or a baked good that has less sugar in it, I find I'm not craving more the way I would if I had another item that had white cane sugar in it. I'm not doing this as a weight loss. It's a cookie, it's a dessert. You know, nothing is, you know, it's not like it's a healthy food. But I enjoy, and you know, I'm never going to be a skinny mini. I never have been. It's just not in my genes. However, I also feel we need to enjoy life. And if we can do some of these little changes to whatever we are making at home, as long as you enjoy the taste, obviously that's very, very important, then it's okay when you go out to, you know, have a dessert if you're at a restaurant or if you're going to a gathering. Enjoy, you know, life is short, and we need to be able to enjoy too as long as we can. Meaning, if you have to be gluten-free, if you are celiac, that's a whole other story. I'm doing this not out of necessity, but by choice. So anyway, we just have a couple of minutes on our first batch, so let's see how that goes. Okay, let's pull these out and see. Okay, well, they didn't flatten. I mean, they look okay. I'm wondering if I could, if I'd want to do that. You know what? I think this next batch, I am going to do 375. Let's try it and see what happens with that. Okay, let's get that to preheat. Okay, so this is the last batch that I'm putting in. I did turn it up to 375. We're going to see how that works. I did flatten the cookies just a tiny bit before I put the maple sugar on. So we will see. The first batch at the 350, they did come out a little, I don't want to say gooey, but less done on the inside. So I'm anxious to see how the second batch comes out at the 375. Hopefully a little better. Okay, let's pull the last batch out. Oh, squeaky door. Okay, these look good. So for me personally, I would say yes. Maybe smash them down with the fork a little first. And I do agree with the woman's recipe, the 375, 9 to 10 minutes, of course, depends on the heat level of your oven. So I think these look a lot better. So let's do a taste test. Okay, so here you go. Yes, I agree. That's the 375 for 9 to 10 minutes. Those look so much better. These just, I don't know. I am disappointed that I experimented, but that's how we learn, right? So let's break one open. Okay, I'm going to take one that was not baked exactly enough. So not bad inside, definitely moist. Let's see what they taste like. They're very good. Obviously, this is moist. Ironically, not super ginger flavor. I am tasting the molasses. A little crunchy on the outside and softer on the inside. You know, I'm going to be very honest. If you were to make these, if you do not have any dairy sensitivities, I think I would substitute the olive oil for butter. I do like using butter in recipes. This is equivalent to the Kerrygold butter. It's made with milk from grass-fed cows. I get this at Aldi's, and but no matter what butter you use, as long as it's, you know, real butter, not a margarine type of thing, I think that's what I would recommend, because I feel like I can taste the olive oil. I don't know, I've never used olive oil in baking before, which is why I was intrigued with this recipe. So okay, friends, so if you decide to make this recipe, just let me know. Let me know what you end up doing. Do you end up doing it with the olive oil? Do you end up trying it with the butter? Do you do any substitutions like I did, or make it the way it was stated? That's a novel idea too. Anyway, it is good. I certainly would recommend it. My personal opinion, I would do the butter. But anyway, let me know. Comment below if you try the recipe, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great week, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.